Hey everybody, I hope you're having a good day. I wanted to take a couple minutes here to talk about some of the transitions and plans we have for this summer. We've had several meetings discussing this, but I know some of you have made those and some of you have missed those, and I just wanted to have a place where I could say everything and hopefully express everything and explain everything for us and for you to know what's going on. And if you have questions, please feel free to contact me. I really want this to be open discussion and for people to have input and to feel like they're a part of the process and a part of the discerning of this. I wanted to start off with just a couple of things, three thoughts on, really three things that led us to where we are right now. Number one, we've just had a really strong sense lately that our time at the YMCA is up. And so we've been asking the Lord if He has another place for us. We've been looking. I've been meeting with pastors, been looking at properties for several years now, a couple years at least, and just trying to figure out if the Lord wants us to stay at the Y, and if not, if He's transitioning us somewhere else. It feels like over time He has been closing doors at the Y and just really confirming that that is not the place for us. That's not our long-term home. But also at the same time, there hasn't been an opening of a large place, a place that could house our Sunday morning gathering, plus the kids and all of that in its current format. And so we've just been really wrestling with that, feeling like probably for the past 6 months that we were done at the Y, but not knowing where to go or what the next steps of that would look like. So I'd say that's number one. Number two, the Bookers contacted us about a month ago and said they would feeling the Lord asking them to step back from leadership and worship, and just really felt like that was from the Lord and agreed with that step that they were taking. But again, at the same time, not understanding what that means, like what are the implications. I feel like the Lord has prophetically told our church that we are a church of worship, an abundance of worship, that there will be many worshipers, many worship leaders. But it feels like the format that we've been using isn't very conducive to that calling or that vision. And so again, we have this thing where we feel like the Lord's saying one thing, but we're not sure how that fits in our current format and how that fits in what we're doing. And lastly, I would say just a third is that there's been a stirring and a growing desire within our folks to just go deeper with one another, to be in ministry together, to kind of Acts 2 type church where we're in our homes together praying for each other, praying for our neighbors, praying for our coworkers. Just a more simple type of church where we're more personal and more in each other's lives and partnering together with ministry and life and overlapping. And so I think that just a combination of those three things, we felt like the Lord saying this summer needs to shift and some things need to change. So we're going to mix things up this summer. We're not exactly sure how long this will last, but one of the words that was given to us was by Steven Santos talking about like a lily pad. If you ever played the game Frogurt back on the Atari back in the day, there's a game where a frog had to get to the end of the screen, but he had to go through traffic and he had to jump on some things and dodge some things. And there was lily pads that would go by and he would jump on those, and you had to get on that before you could get on to the next thing. And that's how we feel as a church, is we don't know what the next stages are, but we know that we need to jump and we need to get on this lily pad that the Lord's provided for us. And so starting not this coming Sunday, well, I guess this Sunday would be our last Sunday at the Y. We're going to end our partnership with the Y, and we're going to walk away from that space, and we're going to begin to meet in homes, and we're going to gather 3 Sundays a month in the homes where we're going to pray and we're going to worship. We're going to seek the Lord. We're going to rotate homes so that it's different every week, and it's not just, this group's over here and this group's over there. In traditional house church, you kind of have your house church and you stay in that house church, but we're going to rotate it kind of like what we did the worship nights last year. We're going to we're going to bounce around and rotate homes. We're going to rotate leaders. We're going to rotate worship leaders. And I'll talk about all those details in a second. But so 3 Sundays out of the month, we want to be in homes, and then our hope is the last Sunday of every month to be in a corporate space like we do at the Y, but it's going to have to be a different location. And I'm currently talking to a few people this week about potential spaces. Uh, two spaces we're looking at is House of Agape, where we serve the meal once a month. The other space that I'm interested in is Bethel Men's Homeless Shelter, to see if we could do a meal and a worship service combined on the last Sunday of every month. So we would all have that corporate gathering once a month, and maybe pair it with a meal and some ministry to the homeless. So that's the plan for the summer, and we'd like to do that for June, July, and August. 3 weeks in the homes, 1 week corporate worship, and we could change that corporate worship. It could be at those places, it could be at a park, it could be anywhere the Lord leads us, but we'll see. We'll just see what opens up the first time in June, the very last Sunday in June, and then we'll go from there. And so I just want to talk about a couple details I've already mentioned, is that we'll have 3 different host homes every Sunday. We'll have a sign-up sheet so that we know people are evenly dispersed between those 3 homes. In the early stages, we're going to really over-administrate it. We're probably going to organize it too much, just so we know that it works. And then we'll probably, as time goes on, we'll have a little bit less structure. But we just wanted to make sure that right out of the gate, we did a really good job of thinking through details and making sure people aren't feeling overwhelmed. And so that's the plan, is that we'll rotate hosts, we'll rotate leaders, facilitators, teachers, we'll rotate worship leaders, and everybody will take turns. Our hope is that more people will get to play, more people will get involved, that a lot of folks will be able to use their gifts who maybe aren't using their gifts right now, and there would just be deeper sharing, deeper prayer for one another, getting to more personal things that we want to pray for, things in people's lives, praying for neighborhoods. So when you're hosting, like, one of the main things we're going to do is pray for your home, pray for your family, pray for your neighborhood. And then also our hope is that maybe some ministry projects will come out of that, where we'll begin partnering together more, say, hey, let's have a barbecue, let's have a block party, some things will arise from that intimate setting of the homes, where we will be doing ministry together more and getting more deeper in community. And so those are the details. I passed out this piece of paper on Sunday, and I'm going to copy that below this video. I'm just going to copy the content because I can't attach this document to a mass email, but if you want it, you can email me and I'll send it to you. But I'm just going to copy and paste it. So basic format, maybe 30 minutes of worship, 30 minutes of discussion, and 30 minutes of prayer, kind of the same time slot, the 10 a.m. to noon kind of time slot on Sundays. We have key topics to discuss, again, just focusing on who do we want to see come to Christ, getting more personal, more into like what's God speaking to us, more testimonies, what has God done in the past work, debriefing on like where we saw God at work. I just think this format's going to lend a lot better to just deeper personal relationships, with deeper personal sharing and application and prayer and ministry to one another. And so we need hosts. For the first month, we'll need 9 hosts. And as a host, we're asking you a couple questions. How many adults can you fit in, and how many kids? If you stretch it, how many kids and how many adults can you fit in your home? And then we have some more questions on here for hosts. Do you have any instructions for parking? We encourage you to talk to your neighbors about it before we come. What are the areas of your home that are open for kids, and what are the areas that are not open for kids? We really want this to be a good experience for kids. Like, we want this to be a step up for kids. We want them to really benefit from this model. And so we're hoping to have some structure around the kids and to be very intentional about including them when we can include them, but also giving them maybe some activities to go off and do. But the host home, we want to make sure that there's places that are on limits and there's places that are off limits, and that's known beforehand. We'd love to have communion. We'd love for the host to do communion. So those are the types of questions for the host. Again, if you could reply to this email, and if you say, hey, I want to host, what I need to know from you is kind of some of those details. How many can you fit? Do you have any pets? That's another question. So if there's allergies or any issues with that we know if you have any pets. And also what dates you're going to be unavailable this summer, so we don't schedule you to host on a date that you're going to be out of town. And we also have the role of the worship leader. Again, we want to stretch you in this. We know that not everybody plays instruments. Not all of you are going to be Carl Bucher, and that's the point, is that we want to expand worship. We want to expand the definition of worship, and so we need people who will lead that 30 minutes or 20 or 30 minutes of worship. And you could use music, you can use silence, you can do all kinds of things creatively, and so we're just going to ask folks to kind of stretch in that area. Teachers and facilitators, we're going to all be going through the same books of the Bible, so whatever the scripture is for that Sunday, all 3 house churches will be going through that, but we need someone to facilitate that. And I will be in conversation with the facilitators on the text and the things that I see and how you could frame the discussion, so I'll give some help along those lines. And then we're really going to lean on parents for the kids. We really want parents to take ownership, and we want to work as a team. I picture in my house us gathering in the living room for worship, including the kids, for those kids who will come, having our kitchen table and having our sunroom available with another table at it, with artwork, with crafts and different stuff that kids can do, so the kids can kind of come back and forth. They can engage in things that they want to engage in, and then they have things that within sight, they're not in a back room closed in a bedroom. They're going to be able to engage with us, and especially like the prayer time at the end. I would love to have the kids in on that. And so it's going to be messy, and it's going to be hard. Our hope would be to have like a tub of supplies for the kids, like each house having a tub of supplies. Possibly even a video. The videos that we use on Sunday mornings are really, really good for our kids. We could have that as a kind of a side activity for the kids as well. So we're going to try to get creative with the children. But again, we want this to be really, really good for them. We want them to, when Jesus said, bring the children to me, he didn't say, send the children away. And so we just want to keep being a church that keeps pulling the kids in and keeps working together to disciple them. And parents, is going to require you to coach them up, to say, hey, this is different. This isn't, a free-for-all. This also isn't school, or this isn't like how we normally do church. But we're hoping that this will stretch us, this will grow us, and that our kids will have a great experience, and that we'll have a great experience as well. So those are some of the details. Again, I'm going to paste all of the details below in this email, just some things to look for. But right now, what I need you to do is to reply to this email and let me know if you'll host and answer those questions. If you stretch, how many adults and how many kids? Do you have any pets? Just kind of a couple details about your house and your site, and then we're just going to begin to put together the rotation. And we also want to know. I also need to know if anybody wants to teach and lead. Who wants to do that, and who's willing to do worship leading. Again, I just want to challenge you to let the Lord stretch you, even if you don't feel like doing this, even if you don't feel like giving this a try. I just encourage you to give it a shot and see if the Lord might meet you there. I think one of two things are going to happen. I think at the end of the summer, we're either going to fall in love with this model or some kind of hybrid version of this model, or the Lord will give us a space to go back to the large gathering every Sunday. I'm honestly fine with either. I just want to follow him and do what he's called us to do. So this is a risk. We're taking a big risk. We're taking a step of faith, a step of obedience, trusting that next lily pad, whenever it's time, he'll give that to us. And so I just want to encourage you, if you have questions, let me know. Again, this Sunday, June 2nd, will be our last Sunday in the Y. We're going to have a time of Thanksgiving. We're going to build an altar of Thanksgiving and just have testimony based on all the things that the Lord's done in our families over the past 4 years. So please come prepared to share what you've seen the Lord do in your family. And we're going to celebrate that time and walk away from the Y, and then we'll meet in homes the next 3 weeks. And then the very last week, because June has 5 Sundays, we'll meet somewhere. We will meet corporately somewhere, and the Lord will show us where to do that. So I just want to say I love you all. I'm just so grateful to be on this journey with you. Appreciate you. If you need to talk about this, if you have any concerns, if you have questions, if you want to help in any way, let us know. And yeah, just really look forward to this next step and this next season with you all. Have a good day.